Hello, welcome to the Wine Educate podcast, where we explore WSET education, study tips, and practical advice for wine enthusiasts and professionals. I'm your host, Joanne Close, and this is episode 64. So such is the way with me. Sometimes I get something stuck in my head, and it just won't go away until I do it. So this time it's German wine laws, and we have a level 2 class happening at the moment, and they've just covered it in class, and I'm reminded of what a difficult topic it is. Some of the wine laws are tough to wrap our heads around, and I think Germany is at the top of that list. So what I'm going to do for this week, for Tuesday and Thursday, is I'm going to cover the German wine laws. For today, for our Tuesday episode, I'm covering the German wine laws at the level 2 level. And then on Thursday, I'm going to add on to it with level 3, building upon the level 2 knowledge. So I hope you all find this to be an interesting exercise wherever you are in your wine education journey. And if you're just starting out, don't be like, Joanne, this is too much. We're just trying something here and we're building on knowledge. And for my level 3 students, if you do find this sort of thing interesting, meaning the Thursday episode in particular, please let me know because I'm considering a separate level 3 podcast. Okay? Seed planted. There we go. Let's move on with our material. All right. German wine classifications. The interesting thing about these classifications is that a lot of it has to do with sugar level ripeness. Now, if we think about Germany and its climate, it is cold, it is cool, continental. Often these grapes are struggling to ripen. So in years where the grapes do ripen and their sugar levels increase, this is seen as a positive thing, and it's seen as an indication of quality. So knowing that moving forward, a lot of these laws and these rules, they make more sense. The German classifications are broken up into 4 levels. For level 2, you need to know 3 of them. We're going to start at the most broad general levels and work our way up, starting with Landwein. And this sounds just like it does, right? Wine of the land. Think of it as German country wine. It's just one step above table wine. These wines can be dry or off dry. And typically you're not going to encounter a lot of them outside of Germany. But of course, it's good to know for learning all your categories. All right, so the next level up is Qualitätswein, which literally means quality wine. So we're improving our quality, tightening the parameters here. So wines labeled Qualitätswein must come from one of the 13 designated regions in Germany. For level 2, they want you to just really know 3 of them. Those are the Mosel, Rheingau, and Pfalz. Those 3. These wines must meet a minimum ripeness level. See how the sugar level's creeping in there? And they can be made in a range of styles. Dry, off-dry, sweet. What's important to know about this category is that they must come from a single region and they're subject to higher quality controls. And then we get the top category, which is fun, super fun to talk about, and that's Prädikatswein, okay? FYI, you guys know I'm not German. I'm trying my best here, okay? All right, the Prädikatswein is broken up into 6 different categories. Again, these must come from those 13 wine regions, and they are further classified according to their ripeness levels at harvest, which is known as the Prädikat. Okay, so that makes sense for the name, right? Prädikatswein. So walking you through the driest to the sweetest. Kabinett. Kabinett are going to be the lightest of this category, and they are made from fully ripened grapes, typically producing wines that are light in alcohol with high acidity, delicate fruit, fresh, zippy, little floral. the next one is Spätlese, which means late harvest. Okay, bells are going off, right? We know that if a wine is harvested a little bit later, it's going to have a little more concentration. Those sugars are going to be higher because the grapes stay on the vine a little longer. So you get riper fruit, more concentration, a little more body. And these can be made in dry or sweet styles as well, but may exhibit more like stone fruit, citrus than you'd find in Kabinett. And then you have Auslese, which means select harvest. Wines made from very ripe bunches. And this is where botrytis can sneak in, okay? Botrytis does play a big role in sweeter style wines. And it's not an all or nothing thing with botrytis, right? Sometimes you can have wines that have full, clear botrytis, and that would be Tokai and Sauterne, but sometimes there can be a little botrytis in there. And the Auslese category is a good example of that. And with those berries, you get richer, fuller bodied, and they can still be dry, but they can often be sweet. And they're upping the intensity and complexity. I'm going to stop there with these three because this is where I want to hammer this point home. These three are judged on the amount of sugar they have once they bring the grapes into the winery, okay? This is before fermentation. So Auslese has more sugar than Spätlese, Spätlese has more sugar than Kabinett, so on and so forth. However, then the wines undergo fermentation, and after fermentation, all bets are off. This has to do with the winemaker's preference, with how the fermentation goes, many things. After fermentation, you could have an Auslese that actually is drier than a Kabinett. I know, this is like, it can be a bit confusing to wrap your heads around. But the category is already set in stone before the fermentation happens. So what do? You're going to buy your German Riesling. And this is probably the number one reason why I think people shy away from Riesling. But I'm going to give you some hacks. Okay. You're looking to buy a quality German Riesling from the Prädikatswein category. And you look at the shelf and say you see a Spätlese. Okay, great. But I really want it to be dry. All right. How do you know if it's dry or not? Well, the labeling. Because there's two more terms here in your level 2 curriculum that you need to learn that are helpful in knowing how dry a wine is. You have the term Trocken. If the term Trocken is on that label, it means the wine is dry. There's another term, Halbtrocken, which means off dry. Okay, so now you know that this wine is going to have a little bit of residual sugar. So those are the two labeling terms that can kind of throw you a bone and help you out. Also, look at the alcohol percentage. If you've got something that's 11% or higher, you can pretty much bet that all the sugar got eaten in that wine, the alcohol level rose, and you can have a dry wine. And the opposite of that, if you look at that label and it says, 6-7% alcohol, well, not all that sugar got eaten because the alcohol level is still relatively low, and you probably have a wine with residual sugar. So that is to help you out with those three categories. Now, the next three, they're not going to be dry. This is not an issue. There was so much residual sugar in that wine to begin with that there's no way that the yeast could have eaten it, and you're going to have a sweet wine. And those three categories are ice wine. We'll go into the production of ice wine for another day, but essentially wine made from frozen grapes, lots of concentration, therefore lots of sugar before fermentation, resulting in a sweet wine. Beerenauslese, which means selected berry harvest, and this is where noble rot is really playing a part, and all those affected grapes, you're going to have wines that are sweet, maybe lusciously sweet, intensely aromatic, with aromas and flavors of honey, dried apricot, marmalade, all the things. And then at the very tippy top of our pyramid, we have Trockenbeerenauslese, which is a mouthful, both to say and to drink, actually. And this means selected dried berry harvest. This is the most concentrated, sweetest, and rarest of them all. I joke, but I can't remember the last time I've had it. It's TBA for short, by the way, which is helpful. TBA. They are pretty pricey. They are pretty rare. You need a lot of sugar at harvest to make a TBA. All right, that is the German wine laws at the level 2 level. Here's your homework. I want you to go and visit your local friendly bottle shop and check out their German wines with this new knowledge and look out for these terms. See if you find a wine that's one of the Prädikatsweins, and then see if you can identify for yourself, is this wine going to be sweet? Is it going to be dry? And then, maybe buy one and let me know what you think and how it went. Whew. All right, friend, that was a lot of information, and I'm really excited to jump into the level 3 German wine laws info for Thursday. All right, see you then.